Conflict management in the project environment. Views and sources of conflict. This is how people generally view conflict. However, there are three different views of conflict that we need to consider. The traditional view of conflict is, negative. That conflict is bad and we need to avoid it. This traditional view of conflict defines conflict as something that may lead to aggression and violence. This view that conflict always leads to a negative outcome has enticed traditional organizations to avoid conflict altogether. The traditional view of conflict assumes that as the level of conflict grows, performance decreases. This view of conflict dominated the management literature of the late 19 to mid-1900s, spanning around half a century. Although sometimes this method may work in the short term to keep things quiet and seemingly calm, it can be detrimental to the long term as root causes of problems and tensions are not revealed and dealt with effectively. Problems hide away under a facade of the elusive harmony. Many of the traditional and often large multinational organizations are still heavily based on this idea of conflict. Now, the behavioral view of conflict, or the contemporary view of conflict, is that, it's based around the idea that conflict is a natural part of organizations and human relations, and such conflict can have either a negative or positive effect. The focus then is aimed to managing conflict effectively in order to have it under control. This idea dominated the 40s to around the 70s. Then we have the interactionist view of conflict. This takes the most positive view on conflict. It sees conflict as a necessity for growth, innovation, and evolution of projects and organizations. Where conflict is non-existent, the interactionist view encourages conflict to avoid stagnation and mediocrity. There are different levels of conflict. We have the interpersonal conflict, which results in dilemmas from within a person themselves. There may be a conflict between an individual's values, needs, or wants, what is required or offered by people, project, organizations, or the environment. Such conflict can cause anxiety or distress within the organization, leading to lack of motivation and productivity. Eventually, this could lead to other types of conflict, such as interpersonal conflicts. Interpersonal conflict can occur between two or more people, for instance, in a group. This could result because of different personality types, values, and conflicting personal ambitions. Intragroup conflict occurs between members of the same group. This could be lack of group cohesion, not everyone being on the same page. It could be related to vague roles and responsibilities or incompatible team members. Intragroup conflict occurs between groups. This could be because one group feels their task or project is more important and significant than another group, competing resources, and so on. Sources of conflict. Ambiguous roles. Sometimes individuals, departments, or sections within the same organization have overlapping responsibilities or tasks, or ambiguous roles. This could lead to conflict as individuals become confused as to whom is responsible for what, and create duplicate work, leading to conflict. When positively managed, roles and responsibilities could become more clear, leading to less waste and higher productivity and satisfaction. Avoiding conflict or not dealing with this effectively could lead to lack of productivity, much waste, and continued tension between those with overlapping roles and work boundaries. Inconsistent or incompatible goals. At times, members within the same team have their own goals and ambitions that are incompatible with the overall objective of the project. This could lead to conflict. Positively managed, conflict can bring into light what is the overall goal and objective. For instance, meeting customers' needs or surpassing customers' expectations while keeping project on the budget. Negatively dealt with or ignored, individuals continue pursuing their own goals and objectives, leading to more detrimental problems down the track. ugly confrontations, customer dissatisfaction, and lack of cohesion and productivity. Communication problems. Communication problems range from failure to clearly communicate or define project's vital information, such as objectives, roles and responsibilities, and requirements, to false assumptions, no communication, misunderstanding, and language biases, and so on. Dependence on another party. This can occur when there are tasks or resources which depend on other parties within the organization or outside the organization. Individuals or teams have their own pace and agendas that may not be in line with the deadlines required by the depending party. Specialization or differentiation. Someone may feel they're experts and hence their ego plays a role. People's status and position also makes a difference here. There may be other personal and professional factors that lead to discrimination towards colleagues that lead to conflict. Need for joint decision-making and consensus. The problem of a group coming up with one solution or answer is a very complicated process, as each member comes with their own perspectives and ideas that may be thoroughly incompatible. Behavior regulation. This is when there are policies and regulations in place that are aimed for people to follow and behave in certain ways. Much of it could be based around safety or confidentiality, but it goes beyond natural human behavior or difficult to follow, causing conflict. Unresolved prior conflict. Unresolved prior conflict can continue lurking in the mind and heart of an individual. This could be due to positional power by telling people to do things that they're not supposed to do or are not willing to, or accusations and misjudgments.